Yeah, well, thank you for the presentation. We're not going to vote on this. I think this is an extremely, I would really urge that the policy committees have a chance to look at this because I think it has very strong policy implications. I know that it does for me because if healthcare is one of the basic bedrocks of a stable life, we don't want to make changes in it unless we're pretty confident that what we're doing isn't going to hurt anybody. I realize the cost sharing problem, and there are many things in the proposal that are very good. I think Senator Bell raised some very important issues about performance and how we negotiate with health plans and other things. So thank you very much, for the presentation today. And we will move on because we have a few vote-only items before us. Presentations or just vote? No comment. Okay. The first item that we're going to vote on is the governor's budget requests a 2-year limited term position funded from the general fund to pay for the ongoing costs of Assembly Bill 1397, which was going to collect statistical information on veterans seeking civil service employment. And the recommendation is to approve as budgeted. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing and hearing none.
I'd like to make a motion.
It's been moved. Please call the roll.
Senator Hancock?
Aye.
Senator Anderson?
Aye.
Senator Bell?
That item passes. The next issue, 7920, is the California Teachers Retirement System. And this is for recommendations by CalSTRS to implement some of the changes in the system that we made last year. The recommendation is to approve as proposed. Are there any questions from members of the subcommittee, or are there any public comment? It's been moved. Please call the roll.
Senator Hancock?
Aye.
Senator Anderson?
Aye.
Senator Bell?
Okay. The third item, well, those are the two items for vote only, so we're going to move to the items for discussion. The first item is the Employment Development Department, and issue number 1 is the Unemployment Insurance Program Administration. Is there someone to present the proposal?
It's not as neat as it looks.
The governor's proposing about $40 million in the general fund, some from the current year, to continue to support the unemployment insurance program.
So good morning, Madam Chair. My name is Greg Williams. I'm the Deputy Director of Administration at EDD, and with me is Sabrina Reed, who is our Deputy Director of Unemployment Insurance. We've submitted a budget proposal for $39.7 million in general fund as a result of problems with the federal funding of the UI program. UI is a federal program, and it's intended to be fully reimbursed through a federal cost recovery model, which allocates resources based on states' actual workload, processing time, and cost rates. But it has not kept pace with the cost of doing business, and as a result, California has had some challenges meeting staffing levels in order to provide adequate customer service. Last year, EDD experienced some problems with service and levels to our customers, and we were very thankful to the legislature for granting us funding to address 4 specifically identified service levels. And those service levels, we're meeting them at this juncture, which is to answer 50,000 calls per week, process all initial claims within 3 days, processing internet inquiries within 5 days, and scheduling at least 95% of our determination interviews in a timely manner. So this proposal continues that commitment into 15-16, and it's adjusted for declining workload and additional program efficiencies we're capturing. In a nutshell, this makes us about $30 million and 266 positions smaller in 15-16 than in the present year. So we're open to any questions you may have.
Thank you. LAO?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ryan Woolsey with the LAO. We've reviewed the proposal, and we view this as essentially just continuing with what we did last year. We're not raising any issues with the proposal.
Thank you. Are there comments from the public on this? Seeing and hearing none, I think all of us in the legislature know that one of the biggest issues brought to the attention of our district offices is people having trouble getting through to EDD. So it seems to me this is a merited proposal, and I would consider a motion to approve as budgeted.
So moved.
Thank you.
Senator Hancock,
Aye.
Senator Anderson,
Aye.
Senator Bell.
Okay, that item passes. Thank you. And item number 2 is your capital outlay.
So item number 2 is in a nutshell, buying a building on Crenshaw Boulevard in LA for $1. And it completes a purchase that we've had a 20-year agreement with a lessor that at the end of it, we could buy the building for $1. It's a building appraised at $5 million, so it's a reasonable request. We anticipate saving about $900,000 a year in rent savings.
$900,000 a year in rent?
$900,000, yeah.
Well,
Because there's some
that sounds
costs
like
to
a good deal.
operate the facility, but they're considerably less than we're paying in lease
LAO?
costs.
We have no issues with the proposal.
I presume finance doesn't. We're saving.
I have a quick question. So that's going to be the money that you're saving is going to be the operating capital that you're going to use to maintain the building, and
Yeah, well, we're looking at about $19,000 a month in basic upkeep, and there are some costs with updating the HVAC system and the roof. We estimate, even with those costs, we're talking about the exact figure is about $1.5 million, basically, to completely get it up to adequate levels. And the landlord is responding to some of those issues, but they're clearly not motivated to make the long-term changes to the building that we would like. But even with that, it's a $5 million appraised building, so we feel like it's a good investment.
great. If you're looking for a motion, I'd be happy to make that motion.
Thank you. The motion is approved as budgeted. Please take the roll.
Senator Hancock,
Aye.
Senator Anderson, Senator Bell.
That passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're going to move on now to 4 issues connected with the Department of Industrial Relations. Hello. The first item relates to the elevator public safety unit. Welcome to the committee.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Christine Baker, the Director of the Department of Industrial Relations, and to my left is our Chief Financial Officer, who works closely with our teams, our programs, in developing our budget change proposals. I'm very grateful to be here. We are fixing DIR over in a number of areas, and this is one area that needed improvement with construction increasing and new elevators coming in, we absolutely need the proposed staff.
Please read the roll.
Senator Hancock. Senator Anderson.
Aye.
Senator Bell.
The next item is the Division of Occupational Safety and Health, Health and Safety Inspection.
Again, thank you very much for your consideration. We are proposing additional staff for our high hazard enforcement. This is an area we've been able to work closely again with the Department of Finance to justify our workload and to improve and come up to the same standards of staffing as some of the federal programs across the state.
LAO?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The governor's proposal raises several concerns with Cal OSHA enforcement inspections, the first of which is that there's a few state requirements. These are things like minimum re-inspections of business establishments that have serious violations and timeliness standards for initiating inspections after complaints that are not currently being met. The second concern relates to some oversight from the federal government where they've identified situations where we are a little bit slow in resolving our inspections and some other issues there. And then more generally, California does have a slightly higher rate of non-fatal workplace injury than the rest of the country. So in conjunction with the high hazard positions, there's also additional positions that would be more for the general Cal OSHA enforcement activities, which in our view would in fact allow the department to meet those statutory requirements that are not being met. And we also think that the high hazard inspections, increasing those is a reasonable way to improve worker health and safety outcomes. So we are recommending that the legislature approve the requested staff. However, we think it's really critical in improving these staff that the legislature consider with DIR how we can best target with these programmed inspections the business establishments that have the highest probability of improving their compliance. These are going to be establishments where there's significant unresolved violations. We think there is some room for the department to potentially improve their processes, and we understand that they're currently actually looking at this. So we would recommend that the legislature additionally put in place a formal reporting requirement through which DIR would come back after a certain period of time and report on various things, including the effectiveness of the targeting methodology for programmed inspections, but also more broader outcomes for the effectiveness of the various types of enforcement inspections that the department does, including complaints, inspections prior to issuing permits, and the like, which would allow the legislature to consider whether the Cal OSHA is effectively allocating its enforcement resources.
Thank you. And I did have a question, which could be for anyone. Finance, do you want to comment on the proposal or the LAO?
No, just that we would look forward to working with the department and LAO on the reporting requirements and think it makes sense.
I'm just interested in how these positions in Cal OSHA relate to the PMS positions in terms of high hazard facilities. Are these the same high hazard facilities?
That is a very good question. They are not. We have a separate program for process safety management.
Yeah.
And in that process, and we
Yes.
we would be very happy to discuss that. Clyde Trombetis is our statewide manager of the process safety management program, and that is a different selection criteria and different methodology and different funding than the other program. than the Kellership program.
Okay. Yeah, I would, I'd like to hold this item open and just look at some of the comments of the LAO and when we get to the PSM, sorry, my alphabet soup is not up. Remember, item in a minute, we can talk a little bit more about that. Okay.
Madam Chair, as we get to item number 3, perhaps we may want to keep this open until Senator Bell can join us, or break them out and vote for the ones that we can put out today, however your pleasure is.
Well, you mean skip the whole thing today?
Well, we could hear it, but hold it open like we did the last
Oh,
item.
okay.
I
I'd be
don't
happy to
want
do that.
to have I don't want to have a vote that you need Senator Bell's vote, and he's not
In other
here.
words, you're thinking, okay.
I'm going to vote no on some of them.
Okay, thank you.
I'm politely saying I'm going to
Be
vote no.
direct.